The official said touchdown. Tampa Bay still doesn't think so. Haskell Stanback, however, credited with his second one-yard touchdown run of the game. Red Steinfort set to kick it off. 17-0, the Falcons lead it. Isaac Higgins near the goal line. 25, 30, fumbles the football. White shirts all around it. Atlanta football.
Costly mistake after mistake. Here is something that you don't do in any league. Time and time again, you try to tell ball carriers to try to maintain their footing at all times. Watch, Higgins does a little leap here, and before he can regain his balance, he gets hit right on the football, causing it to pop loose. Atlanta's ball again.
Almost impossible to determine who recovered it. There were about 5 white shirts diving in the general direction of the ball. We'll see if we can find out who made the recovery. But for now, what counts is that it's Atlanta ball, 1st and 10 from the 33 of Tampa Bay. Stanback. He's getting a workout in this third quarter. Moves down inside the 30, coming up to a minute to play in the third period. And we're getting an official's timeout for some reason. Stanback may have been shaken up on the play.
No TV, you're in 71. Jesus Christ.
And he heads over to the sideline. This gives us an opportunity to take a break with 1 minute and 3 seconds to play. We look at the last play with Stanback carrying.
Stuntman, you get the bruises instead of the glory. You hit the deck and bite the dust till your bones ache. But now comes Miller time. Time to reach for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller beer.
Announcing a unique new motor oil from Exxon Research that can actually save money. New Golden Natural Uniflow. Uniflow was tested in cars like yours. After break-in, it delivered an overall average of 16 extra miles per tank full. Savings like that could cut your gasoline bill the equivalent of about 3 cents a gallon. New Uniflow motor oil is Exxon's best engine protection ever. It conserves gasoline, saves money.
Through their first 24 losses in better than a season and a half, Tampa Bay has failed on 14 occasions to score more than 7 points. And they have scored 7 or less in 8 of their 10 losses this year. They trail here 17-0 with 1 minute to play in the third quarter. Thompson's fumble comes after the whistle, which disappoints David Lewis and the Tampa Bay fans.
Ed Robinson was not fooled with that play. It was a bit of a trickery. But number 64, Robinson, smelled it. They're waiting for it. There he goes. Number 64 just ran there, Glenn Robinson. That was a little bit of trickery.
3rd down 10 from the 33, which is where this Atlanta possession began after the fumble on the kickoff by Higgins. A Raphael Septian field goal has improved the Los Angeles advantage to 9-0 over Cleveland. The Rams with a 2-game Western Division lead in the NFC over these Atlanta Falcons. Bartkowski needs 10 yards. Off the hands of a Tampa Bay defender and incomplete. Let's see if they give Freddie Steinfort a crack at a 50-yard field goal as we look at the Cincinnati-New York score, which remains 27-6 in the third quarter. New England still leading Philly by 2 touchdowns in the third. And Pittsburgh with a third quarter lead of 1 touchdown over the Jets. Kim McQuilkin is kneeling at the 41. This is a 51-yard attempt by Freddie Steinfort, which was partially blocked.
Looked like it was somebody in the middle of the line. Can't tell exactly who got a hand on it, but it was a low kick, I thought. It looked like it was Leroy Selman.
Looked like it. Number 63 was up there higher than anybody else.
Leroy's not really that tall either, only about 6'2".
You've got to admire the Buccaneer defense. Adverse circumstances all year long, and they have distinguished themselves, really. Carter gives the ball to Ragsdale on a reverse. Ragsdale coming around the left side. Runs into his own man, keeps his footing. And these Tampa Bay fans are ready to roar on just about anything that their Buck team does.
Ragsdale and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they give them something to cheer about, a little razzle-dazzle. Ball pitched back, handed off to Ragsdale. Now let's go, see what we can get with it. He gets his way to the outside, almost breaks this thing. Runs into one of his own men. Number 75 there, lying on the ground.
And that's the end of the third quarter with the score. Atlanta 17 and Tampa Bay nothing. And we now pause for a word from your local station.
A radical group of vigilantes gets a new recruit, a somewhat naive Archie Bunker, tonight at 8, 7 Central and Mountain on CBS.
As the fourth quarter begins, Gary Huff, who wasn't able to put any points on the board for Tampa Bay, has gone to the bench. And number 14 is rookie Randy Hedberg from Minot State College in North Dakota. Number 8 draft pick of the Tampa Bay club, and he enjoyed some success for them during the preseason. Recently has had some injury problems, had a concussion which knocked him out of the lineup. Tampa Bay's quarterbacks have really been battered all season long. Barilla, a knee injury, Huff with cracked ribs, Hedberg, a concussion, Jeb Blunt, a sore shoulder.
Let's take a look again at that razzle-dazzle play, or some people might call him the fool-em play. But this time it gets pretty good yardage, and I think had he not run into Revis outside, he might have gone a long, long way with it. Watch number 75 stops his ball carrier.
That was an 8-yard pickup, which ended the third quarter. Now on the first play of the final period, 2nd down 2, Hedberg fakes a flip, and his pass is right in the hands of Morris Owens, who cannot hold on. As Hedberg slowly picks himself up off the ground. Next Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the International Record Makers Tournament of Weightlifting, featuring the great Soviet weightlifter Vasily Alexiev on the CBS Sports Spectacular. And some other pretty strong fellas will compete in round 9 of the World's Strongest Men competition. They'll race 40 yards with a 400-pound refrigerator strapped to their backs.
For
Would
what?
like to try that?
For what?
3rd down 2. Jimmy DuBose stopped short of the first down.
This is pull the flag down, Bob. Let's find out what happened here.
I think it's going to go against Atlanta.
Defense number 87 offside. First down.
Rod Humphrey was the culprit there, getting a little bit too anxious. But getting back to that refrigerator race, what's the approximate weight of a refrigerator?
Full or empty?
We'll take it empty.
400 pounds, they
400 pounds? Wow.
Well, they just have to go 40 yards with it, though, that's all. You could handle that, couldn't you? 1st and 10 from the 46. Hedberg under pressure. Lights out time. Jeff Merrow applying the finishing touches as Hedberg is sacked.
Credit the men downfield for the Atlanta Falcons, starting with the linebackers and Roland Lawrence, Ray Brown, Easterling, and Bias, because Hedberg looked downfield. It was going to be a quick, tight pattern, maybe a quick post. It was just not there.
Humphrey had a hold of him first, and then Merrow finished him off.
That's what you call cleaning up.
Have you been following that World's Strongest Man?
Yes, I have. And some of those things they do, I don't see who thought of those. I don't know who thought of some of the stunts that they perform, especially a refrigerator race.
How about the vehicle pull? Pulling a tram that weighs a couple of tons down a track. Here comes Hedberg. Couple of tons worth of Atlanta muscle. We're barreling in on him, and he floated it out there, and Ralph Ortega almost had his second interception of the day.
Well, at least in some parts of the country, it was duck season. This is exactly what this one was. A duck that floated way high. He got hit just as he started to release the ball. Hedberg is going to have to learn, along with some of the other quarterbacks on the club, mainly Blunt, that there are times when you're going to have to eat the football, no matter what the situation is, whether you're down by 20 or 40 points or 2. You sometimes have to take your lumps.
There's the situation facing Hedberg with 14:21 to play in the game. From the Buck 39. Under the gun again as he gets this one off. It is intercepted by Ray Easterling. Easterling sauntering up the sideline. And down he goes around the 25 of Tampa Bay.
This man, Ray Easterling, is one of the strong points of that Atlanta defense. Doesn't get much publicity, but he's always there, stopping the big play at free safety, picking it off as he did there. That's his job, to police the deep passes and the secondary.
The pass intended for Higgins, obviously way short. And Easterling with a nose for the ball, there to pick it up. He just kind of takes a leisurely stroll down that right sideline. But a penalty marker down.
Number 74 on the return team.
Bob, on punt returns like that, that's one of the most frightening things you ever want to happen. We'll get into it.
Well, the interception stands, but the clip moves the ball back from the 25 out near midfield. And Atlanta has it there, leading 17-0.
Sir, it's about time you're here. Another late night, I presume? Well, let's get started. The first thing we have for your assignment is this micro-cassette tape recorder.
Genius. Did you design this, sir?
Well, no, actually. It's a Sony. Next is this radio with 32 worldwide bands can tune in just about any place.
Extraordinary. Who gets the credit for this one?
This is a Sony, too. You'll also need this ultra-compact portable video camera, and we're going to mount this 5-inch color TV in your car, along with this Betamax deck for playback.
Remarkable. Are they,
Yes, they're Sony also.
Excuse me, sir, but did you just walk into a store and buy these?
Well, yeah.
Well, keep up the good work, sir.
If it's a little extraordinary, chances are it's a Sony.
On January 2nd, CBS Sports presents the Cotton Bowl with the #1 ranked Texas Longhorns taking on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. That's the Cotton Bowl, January 2nd.
This is one of the most frightening things for an offensive unit or even a defensive unit, because these guys are not accustomed to being on the field with a return man. You go to the ball back upfield, you notice that it was brought back because there was a clip, and that clip was on number 87, Claude Humphrey. But most guys just do not want to get involved because they can't see where the pressure is coming from. You've got to keep your head almost on a turnstile, keep it going completely around, or else you'll get wiped out.
Bartkowski and the Falcons back in possession after the interception by Easterling. And Woody Thompson takes it off the left side for 2 or 3. We move inside, 14 minutes remaining. Atlanta took a 10-0 lead in the first quarter. Improved it to 17-0 on a Haskell standback 1-yard touchdown run. A disputed call at that. And CBS gets a plug here in Tampa Bay. The standback run made it 17-0 in the third quarter. That's where we stand now. Bartkowski throwing on 2nd and 8. Alfred Jenkins making the catch. And brought down none too gently by Mike Washington.
Atlanta is continuing to play well on defense, even though they're on the field here, but I must bring this guy up. Tampa Bay has been held at this point to a total of 82 offensive yards. So Atlanta stays on a rampage. They are the stingiest team in the NFL right now.
Well, you've got two factors coming together here that pretty well preordained that Tampa Bay was not going to score many points. Tampa, the weakest offensive team in the league, and in terms of points allowed, Atlanta, the strongest defensive team in the league. So The handwriting was on the wall when this one began. But that Tampa Bay defense continues to battle. They're a tenacious group.
They are a group that has not given up. At the conclusion of a ball game, every player on that defensive 3 and 4 down lineman and the secondary has to be pretty battered and bruised because they play almost sometimes 50-60% of the ball game.
Woody Thompson is stopped by Richard Wood, the inside linebacker. Let me point this out again. All 3 scoring drives for Atlanta started in Tampa Bay territory. They have not moved any great distances against this Tampa Bay defense.
That's where you want to start. If you've got to start across that 50-yard line, you know then psychologically you don't have that far to carry.
John James gets off his punt. Bounces at the 10, down to the 5, and they're going to down it at the 1-yard line. Typical John James effort. 39-yard punt down inside the 1.
Credit Tom Moriarty for that. He got down and stopped it just at the inch line.
So Tampa Bay, which has not exactly enjoyed good field position today, has its worst ever on this drive.
Here in Chicago, we're evaluating the world's first lightwave communication system, carrying our customers' voice, data, and video. A half-inch cable like this can contain enough glass fibers to carry as many phone calls as 6 of those copper cables. Besides increasing capacity, someday this system will help keep costs down. We've taken lightwave communications out of the labs. We've put it under the streets, and it's working.
Bell System Technology, keeping your phone system the best in the world.
Ford introduces Futura, a dramatic combination of styling and technology for 1978 and beyond. Futura, designed by computer modeling and aerodynamic testing. It can provide excellent fuel economy and room for 5 passengers as well. Futura, designed for 1978 and beyond. Realistically priced for today. See your Ford dealer for a personal test drive.
Well, Randy Hedberg is looking at a very unpleasant situation right now, Emerson. First down from about the 1-foot line. He wants it all right now. He lobs out a big bomb intended for Isaac Hagan, but overthrown by about 15 yards.
Believe it or not, Bob, good running back. Love to get the ball in this situation. But they're so tight there, you're afraid to hand the ball off in the backfield and fear of getting a safety. So this is the time now to either throw the big bomb as he just tried, or give it to your best runner and hope that he can go all the way.
Coming up next, the Cowboys and the Redskins in Washington. And if Washington can upset Tom Landry's team, handing them their 3rd consecutive loss, then the Redskins would move into a tie with the Cardinals for that wild card spot in the NFC.
Going to be a ball game.
Second down. You see the ball is almost on the goal line. Edwards better not step out of that end zone. He's got them out of trouble with a peg to John McKay. The coach's son, J.K. McKay, makes the catch.
McKay for first down.
He gets him out in good fashion. Not being afraid, he stands back there. Gets McKay coming across the middle, turning in on an L. Bingo. Got the lead first down, out of trouble.
And there's Papa McKay pacing the sidelines.
I don't know how young McKay feels about playing for his father, but I'm sure that I wouldn't have wanted to play for my father.
Is that because of the kind of guy your father was?
Absolutely. Monsters of a man. We just might have intentional grounding here.
Hedberg was grounded himself.
By Jeff Merrill, so I don't think the officials will call it. They gave him a break because Merrill was bearing down and planted Hedberg.
This is going to bring up 2nd down and 10 from the 18. Just an incomplete pass, no call made. 11:29 to play in the game. 17-zip Atlanta. That has to be, on a serious note, an uncomfortable situation at times for young John McKay playing for his dad. But of course he did it for several years at USC, so it's nothing new here in the pros. Hedberg throwing. Incomplete over the middle.
He came right back with the same play that he hit young McKay on earlier. But this time, Hedberg just threw the ball way up too high. Look at this pressure that the Atlanta Falcons are putting on. Number 87, Claude Humphrey. Number 74, Wilson Comuna. And it could be the reason why Hedberg lost it a little bit too high. Pressure like this can cause anything.
That's the first time today we've had a chance to mention number 74, Wilson Comuna, the rookie from San Jose State. One of 2 first-round draft picks this year by Atlanta. He is a native of Samoa. He came to the United States as a young boy. Balmuina, you got it. He says it's his job to come into the game and freak out the center. That time it was Claude Humphrey freaking out Randy Hedberg, which has been pretty much par for the course this afternoon.
Tampa's offensive line now is beginning to weaken because they are getting their ears back and coming. I should say that they're flapping their wings as they're called Falcons. Right here, a back is no match for Claude Humphrey. He sets up, tries to get a good block, but DuBose is not enough.
There's a flag down on this play. Let's listen to Bob Fred.
Number 32 offside. 3rd down.
Well, that moves the ball up to the 23 and makes it 3rd down and 5. So the Bucs get one more crack at keeping this drive alive. 11:20 to play in the game. Randy Hedberg, tiny Minot State College. Look at the pressure, even on that play, and Louis Carter couldn't hold on. It would have been a 1st down. But the thing which impressed me about that play was, even though it might have worked had Carter caught it, everybody on that Atlanta front 4 was in there in about half a second. We're looking at Pennywell with his pursuit from his linebacker spot, but Carter just simply dropped the ball.
That was Pennywell's coverage, and he almost committed a boo-boo. If that back swings outside and he's your responsibility, you have to be there.
So Dave Green gets a chance to exercise that right leg once again, and Roland Lawrence drops back around his own 40-yard line to receive the kick. Green gets it away. Lawrence lets it bounce. Takes a good Tampa Bay roll down to about the 36, and they down it there.
Punt is down on the 36-yard line. 41-yard line, correction.
Don't forget some good college football action coming up during the holiday season on CBS. The Fiesta Bowl, Penn State at 10-1 against Arizona State. And believe me, Arizona State will have a lot of fans there at Tempe rooting for them on that day. Christmas Day, Sunday, December 25th, the Fiesta Bowl on CBS. The Sun Bowl, Saturday, December 31st. Stanford goes against LSU with Charles Alexander. LSU's Alexander gained over 230 yards last night in a big win over Wyoming. So some excellent action coming up.
Pursuit the ball, brought down by Dewey Silman.
And this could be the topper. The annual Cotton Bowl, Texas against Notre Dame. A couple of Heisman Trophy candidates, Ken McAfee for the Irish, and perhaps more likely, Earl Campbell for Texas.
Mr. Campbell had some day yesterday. 222 yards rushing.
10.5 minutes remaining in this one. 2nd down and 4. Esposito, number 26, is in the backfield now with Haskell Stanback. Stanback carrying, but not for the 1st down.
Haskell Stanback.
Bill Kohler, number 77, a 4-year man from Montana State, made the stop. Clock is running inside 10 minutes now.
3rd down and about 1 yard to go.
They need 1 on this 3rd down play. Los Angeles is leading Cleveland at this point. If they hang on, and assuming Atlanta will win here, it'll still be a 2-game edge for the Rams in the NFC West. Stanback diving in an attempt to get the 1st down. And they might have to measure.
Want to be very close, Bob.
Let's see if they bring out the chains. No, they say he's got it by enough. We don't have to make it. We've mentioned this before, Emerson, but I'm impressed by the fans here in Tampa Bay. I've been talking with several fans the 2 days that we've been down here. Nobody is down on this team because they are yet to post a victory. They're very sympathetic, very patient with them, and any time the Bucs have done anything right, particularly on offense today, you've heard a big cheer. They're just waiting to have something to yell about.
They are with this club, and I think rightfully so, because you don't just put a new club together, such as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and expect them to win overnight, even though they have a lot of quality players in this club. It takes some time and a while to grow old for the National Football League.
It looks like they'll have pick number 1 in the upcoming draft. What do you think they'll go for? I have to figure, even though they do have Mike Marilla on their roster, assuming he can come back from knee surgery, I have to think that somebody like Doug Williams from Grambling or Matt Cavanaugh from Pittsburgh has to be in the mind of John McKay with that number 1 draft choice coming up.
Certainly, if there's not a quarterback, it should be a tight end, because right now Tampa doesn't have that quality tight end that can give you the strong blocking and for catching.
Mike Esposito, the third-year man from Boston College, with a big gain on that play.
This is opening things up. The Atlanta Falcons just shutting down Tampa Bay, opening up a big crack as Easterland starts to get inside. One big change, though. Dave Pierce knocked the nose man as Joe Kohler was there. He got shut off as they blocked down on him. And Esposito, he's off and running. Hasn't played that much this year.
First and 10 from the 31-yard line. Woody Thompson. The run by Esposito, by the way, covered 26 yards. The longest run from scrimmage of the day by either club.
I don't know whether Dave Pierce is injured or not, but Toller has been in for the last series and not playing as well as Dave Pierce plays.
Joining Esposito now in the Falcon backfield is the rookie from Auburn, Cedric McIntyre, number 41. McIntyre closest to you. And that is he carrying the ball. Nice game by the rookie. Let's look at it again from ground level.
McIntyre finds some daylight, but then he really gets hit by Mike Washington. Washington hits McIntyre the way they're taught to hit. Head up, right into the numbers. Watch number 41 here as he gets jolted by number 40 on the defense. That's a hit. He wraps his arms around him. He sure he's down to the ground.
Atlanta got 20 points last week against New Orleans. That was their high watermark in terms of point production during the regular season. If they can get a touchdown here, they'll exceed that total. Esposito, hello.
That time, it was Dave Lewis and Kohler to stop Esposito.
Fourth down.
A reminder that Bing Crosby's Merry Old Christmas, One Last Christmas with the Great Crooner, coming up this Wednesday, November 30th, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central and Mountain on CBS. This program was recorded recently in England and features Bing and, as always, his entire family for their Christmas special. Fourth down and 3. Steinfurt is in to attempt the field goal, which is no good. It hooked off wide to the right, and so the Falcons must be content to sit on that 17-0 lead with 5 minutes and 36 seconds to play in the ball game. The ball will come out to the 24-yard line, and Tampa Bay will have it there.
Just listen to that. That's just one of the great original hits in this exclusive new Firestone Christmas album. This is a really big collection of all-time favorite Christmas classics with many of the artists who made them famous. It's yours for only $1.69. 8-track tape, $1.99. At Firestone stores and dealers just about everywhere. Merry Christmas, everybody.
You work in the sky with nothing to hold on to but the wind and the cold steel beam. And it's a very long day until a whistle blows telling you it's Miller time. Time for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer since 1855.
If you got the time, we've got the beer. Miller beer.
That Cotton Bowl reminder once again, because New Year's Day falls on a Sunday this year, the Cotton Bowl will be played on Monday, January 2nd, and what a great one it should be. Texas going against Notre Dame. Tampa Bay ball, still trying to put some points on the board. Hedberg has good protection this time. He unloads deep. He's got a man out there, but it's broken up.
Ball was underthrown a bit. Ray Brown almost had an interception. Should have had it in his hands.
Dana Notziger, number 83, the tight end, actually was a step and a half behind Brown, but the throw came up short, and Brown was able to catch up with it.
Hedberg just couldn't get enough mustard on it. Here again, Ray Brown has recovered in good position, gets his hands on the football, but just couldn't hold on. Hedberg now is 1 of 8 for 17 yards and 1 interception. Not a good day.
On 2nd and 10, the pitch is back to Carter. They try that reverse again. This is Ragsdale coming around. This play works again. Ragsdale out near the 40-yard line, bumped out at about the 39. Second time that play has worked for good yardage.
Here it again. It's the old Poolin play, and I think they fooled him a bit this time. As the ball was handed off to Ragsdale, he found the room back to the other side.
He goes for 15 yards on this play.
All right, turns the corner. Now he's got to straighten it out. Get what he can.
George Ragsdale from North Carolina A&T. 5:19 to play in this ball game. 17-0 Atlanta. Hedberg dropping to throw. Pressure on him once again. His wobbly toss is incomplete.
Hedberg got a late blitz by one of the Atlanta secondary men. Might have been called a delayed blitz, and some teams will spring on a young quarterback.
Atlanta will send people in from just about everywhere, and the proof of that is that 11 different Falcons have been credited with sacks this year.
Take another look at it here. I don't know who came in late.
Ralph Ortega.
Ortega, number 55. That was almost a delayed type blitz, even though some people might call it a deal type blitz.
Hedberg throwing again. Hagen's the intended receiver. Hedberg couldn't find him in that crowd of white shirts. It's going to be 3rd down and 10 yards to go from the 39 of Tampa Bay. Don't forget, coming up right after this ball game, the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins meet at RFK Stadium in the nation's capital. Always a great confrontation in the NFC East. They need 10 or they'll have to give the football up. Hedberg with better protection this time. His pass batted in the air by Ray Brown, and it falls incomplete. He was trying to hit Nofziger, his tight end. Here's another look at Randy Hedberg's attempt to pass.
This is one of Tampa's weaknesses, too. Nofziger, understand, is really not an offensive type player. He's got to shoot it as a linebacker, but yet he's done a fantastic job as a blocker and hopefully catching passes as a tight end. And I'd say, Bob, that Tampa, along with needing a solid quarterback, also needs a good tight end.
Well, if they're looking for a tight end and want to use that #1 draft choice to get one, the prime candidate would probably be the man you'll see in the Cotton Bowl on CBS on Monday, January 2nd, Notre Dame's Ken McAfee.
He certainly is the best tight end I've seen all year at the collegiate level. You'll also have one of the top runners in the country, Earl Campbell.
Campbell, a Heisman candidate, along perhaps with Terry Miller of Oklahoma State. Charles Alexander of LSU undoubtedly will receive some support. Dave Green punting. And it's Billy Rickman with a good return. Rickman out near midfield before being tripped up.
Billy is a little disgusted with himself. He thought he should have broken that play, but he got a lot out of it. Should be happy with it.
A rookie, Billy Rickman. He's from Louisiana Tech. Only a number 10 draft choice. Johnny Cash's Christmas show is coming up this Wednesday on CBS, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, and Mountain. Roy Clark, Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, Carl Perkins, and the Statler brothers will join Johnny Cash for that one. First down. A look into the Atlanta huddle. They keep Bartkowski at the helm. He's gone all the way. He really is not the Steve Bartkowski that everybody knows he is capable of being once he gets on track and once his injuries have completely healed.
There are a number of things that can slow a quarterback down, and I've seen Bartkowski play and played against it. When I first saw him as a rookie, he had an arm just as strong as anybody in the league and had accuracy. But I think after the first knee injury, as I mentioned some time ago, once you cut a knee, you tend to make an incision in the brain a bit. It takes a while to erase the scar that has been put there.
He's also had problems with an elbow injury during his pro career, so really he's never had a chance to realize his full potential, but still a young player. It may come yet. So Cedric McIntyre on the carry and Bill Kohler on the stop.
Cedric McIntyre.
4 minutes remaining in this game. $60 minutes tonight on CBS. That's one I never miss if I can possibly help it. 7 Eastern, 6 Central Time. The question asked tonight, how did a tiny country like East Germany run away with 40 Olympic gold medals? That story and others tonight. Mike Wallace, Morley Safer, and Dan Rather on CBS. 60 minutes. Mike Esposito. And there you see him peering out from underneath the pile. Esposito has touched the ball so infrequently this year, playing as a reserve running back. I guess he didn't want to give it up.
He has done well coming in late in the fourth quarter. He's had 5 carries for 37 yards.
They have to measure to see if they've got the first down. And they do. 1st and 10 from the 39. 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. And it appears that Tampa Bay is on its way to another shutout defeat. Atlanta plays at home next week against New England, as McIntyre busts over the right side for some good yardage. Then the Falcons go to Los Angeles, which could, depending upon what happens between now and then, be a very big game. And they conclude the season at home against the New Orleans Saints, a team they had on the ropes last week at the Superdome, leading 20-7, but they let get away and ultimately lost 21-20. The CBS Sports Spectacular next Saturday at 5 Eastern Time. Vasily Alexiev, the Olympic gold medal winner from Russia, leading the field in the weightlifting competition. And 400-pound refrigerators will be strapped to the backs of the competitors in the world's strongest men competition, and they'll try to race 40 yards. McIntyre trying to race into the end zone, but pulled down from behind.
Imagine having to run 40 yards with that refrigerator. That's almost like having a live gorilla on your back.
I think I'd prefer the gorilla. At least that way, if I got tired, I could hop on his back and he'd carry me.
We have a Tampa Bay player down late in the ball game, and you'll hate to see it any time, but he's there. You can't see who it is.
I believe it's strong safety Mark Cotney, number 33, who's down on the field. hard to tell just what might have happened to him. As we mentioned, with Tampa Bay losing 17-0, they've had a lot of problems this year scoring points. As a matter of fact, they've scored more than 7 only twice this season. Next week on CBS, Chicago will be here against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as Walter Payton continues his assault on O.J. Simpson's single-season rushing record. Cotney back on his feet and apparently okay. The Cardinals continue the battle for a wild-card spot in the NFC as they go to New York to play the Giants. Washington is at Buffalo. Somehow George Allen always keeps his teams alive. Detroit plays at what figures to be very cold Green Bay. Philadelphia will be warmer in Dallas against the Cowboys. And the 49ers and Vikings will be at Minnesota. I'll be there for that one along with Roy Jefferson, and believe me, I'll be purchasing some Long Johns this weekend.
Looks like a great lineup right here on CBS.
2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. The ball on the 23. Esposito down to about the 20. The stop was made by Dewey Selman, one of the inside linebackers, number 61. And that brings us up to the 2-minute warning. And the only question now is how much Atlanta will win this one by. They lead it 17-0.
This realistic 40-channel CB radio is on sale right now at your nearby Radio Shack for the unbelievable low price of $49.95. That's 50% off our catalog price. And our realistic Model 466 is ready to use on all 40 CB channels. For under $50, get the convenience and security of two-way CB communication today. The sale-priced realistic 40-channel CB radio, only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
How much should you expect from a great camera? Polaroid's SX70 lets you shoot automatically, very close, or very far away, in lots of light, or hardly any. Shoot every second and a half, and have beautiful pictures in minutes. No other camera in the world does it all. The SX70 Alpha 1.
With Atlanta leading 17-0, we're looking squarely at the possibility of another Tampa Bay shutout. If they fail to score, it will be the 5th time this year that they have been shut out. In 2 other games, they've managed only a field goal, and in 2 games other than that, just a touchdown. Only twice this year have they managed as many as 10 points. They got 10 in a 20-10 loss to San Francisco. They scored 23, their most ever, in a 30-23 loss to Seattle. Cedric McIntyre getting the call as the time continues to tick away. That was a 3rd down and 3 yards to go play. And let's see whether or not they have the first down. Atlanta has asked for a timeout with Mike Esposito shaken up on the play. Emerson Boozer will make his way down to the field, and we'll have an interview when this one ends. So long, Emerson, as he files out. And we'll take a look at this last play and see if we can find out where Esposito was hurt. McIntyre is carrying the ball. Esposito is in there trying to throw a block, and that's where it happened. Bartkowski uses this break in the action to go over and talk with Lehman Bennett, the youngest head coach in the NFL at 39 years of age. And we remind you again, the Cowboys and Redskins clash in Washington next, here on CBS. This is 3rd down and 3 now, from the 16-yard line. Atlanta has not scored more than 20 points in any game this year. A touchdown here. would represent their top point production of the season. McIntyre around the left side, struggling down close to the first down. And they may have to measure. Mike Washington, second-year man from Alabama, number 40, came up from his right cornerback spot to make the stop. The Bucs have the Bears here next week. They go to the Superdome in New Orleans to take on the Saints 2 weeks from now, and they conclude the season at home against St. Louis, hoping somewhere along the line to break a losing streak, which in the next minute and 15 seconds or so will have reached 25 in a row. The all-time NFL record is 29, set by the Chicago Cardinals back in the 40s. On a fourth down and less than one, it's Bartkowski on the sneak. The officials stop the clock, at least momentarily, while they untangle things. They needed less than a yard on the play. And the officials will call for a measurement just to make sure. $17-0 Atlanta. And they have an opportunity to add to it as this drive is sustained. They get the first down. Cincinnati out in front of the Giants now 30-6 with 7 minutes to play in the game. A Chris Barr field goal has padded their advantage. Houston leads Kansas City near halftime 14-6. Minnesota 13 and Green Bay 6. That's at the half. Bartkowski goes down quickly, but there's also a penalty marker on the play. With 35 seconds
Johnson
remaining.
on the quarterback sack. Penalty on the play.
John McKay said earlier this week he has tried just about everything. First, let's listen to
illegal motion, 48 in the offense, declined. First down. Second down. Let's go.
Second down and 15 as Tampa Bay declines the penalty. The ball at the Buck 18. McKay was telling us he's tried everything. He's tried wearing the same clothes on the sidelines, sleeping on the same side the night before a game, running through drills in different ways, just about everything to break this jinx. He said if his team doesn't post a victory soon, he may show up one weekend on the sidelines nude. Atlanta apparently has no interest in adding to their advantage at all, padding the score in any way, as Bartkowski just falls on the football, and that might very well have been the final play of the game. Fred Steinfurt kicked a 26-yard field goal following a Roland Lawrence interception early in the first quarter. Then, after pinning the Bucs deep in their own territory and taking a punt on the 41, the Falcons drove down to the 1-yard line, and Haskell Standback scored from there. It was 10-0 at the half as the players exchanged handshakes and good feeling, and this one comes to an end. Atlanta got the last touchdown in the third quarter when Isaac Higgins fumbled on an attempted run back. The ball popped into the hands of an Atlanta player. They drove home from there with Standback scoring from the 1. Steinfurt added the extra point, and from that point on, they just played out the string, with the Falcons posting a 17-0 victory, improving their record to 6-5, dropping Tampa Bay and their coach, John McKay, whom you see walking off, to 0-11 this year, and 0-25 over 2 years in the NFL. We'll be back with a wrap-up on this one, and shortly we'll be going to Washington to join the Cowboys and the Redskins. Back in just a moment.
Can I get you something else?
Yeah. An ambulance.
Americans overeat more than anyone. But what's really getting fat is the cost of health care.
Oh, one more piece won't hurt, dear.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans have programs to hold costs down. But everybody needs to help.
Son, when you eat like this, I just love you to death.
There is no free lunch. Sooner or later, we all pay for it.
All of us help each other. This drop is too little to cover the head of a match. Yet this is enough adhesive, super strong, super fast to lift 2.5 tons. It's Duro Super Glue. A drop will do to mend jewelry, ceramics, rubber, and glass in only 10 seconds. It truly is super strong and super fast. Super Glue. A drop will do. Super Glue. A product of Loctite Technology.
Back in Tampa Bay, Bob Costas along with Emerson Boozer, and shortly Emerson will be down on the field talking with one of the outstanding defensive linemen in the NFL, the Falcons' Claude Humphrey. We have a chance now to review some scores. Los Angeles leading Cleveland 9-0. That Ram defense really doing a job on Pruitt and the rest of the Browns this afternoon. The points coming on a 6-yard run by John Capoletti in the first quarter, the point after block. Then Raphael Septien added a 19-yard field goal in the second quarter. It was 9-0 at the half, and it's 9-0 now in the fourth quarter. That'll be bad news for the Falcons unless the Browns rally. Cincinnati pounding the Giants by a score of 30-6. It's been a big afternoon for Ken Anderson. 58 yards to Billy Brooks for a touchdown, 30 yards to Brooks for another touchdown, 48 yards to Jim Corbett for a touchdown. Boobie Clark has a 9-yard run for a score. Chris Barr, a 32-yard field goal. The only Giants score, a pass from Joe Pizarczyk to Jim Robinson. They missed the point after. They trail in the fourth quarter, 30-6. New England had a 14-0 lead at the half on Philadelphia, and it stayed that way into the fourth quarter. 2 touchdown passes, one in the first period, one in the second by Steve Grogan. The first one to Stanley Morgan, good for 64 yards. The next to the very exciting Darryl Stingley, good for 16. And it stayed that way, 14-0, New England over Philadelphia. Pittsburgh now, jumping out in front of the Jets, 23-13. That game was tied up at one time, 13-all. Let's check how the scoring has gone. The Jets grabbed a 3-0 lead on a 33-yard field goal by Pat Leahy. Then Terry Bradshaw threw to John Stallworth, 37 yards to make it 6-3. The kick was blocked. Leahy tied it up with a 48-yard field goal at 6-6. This all took place in the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, Terry Bradshaw threw a 5-yard touchdown pass to Lynn Swann. That made it 13-6. It was 13-13 after Matt Robinson passed 5 yards to Scott Dierking. And then, late in the second quarter, Franco Harris, with a 1-yard run, made it 20-13 in favor of Pittsburgh. And with 5:58 to play in the game, Roy Girella has booted a 36-yard field goal, increasing the Pittsburgh lead to 23-13. Now let's go down on the field and pick up Emerson Boozer, who has Claude Humphrey, the outstanding defensive lineman of the Atlanta Falcons, with him. Em?
Thank you, Bob. Certainly, Claude Humphrey is one of the standout defensive ends for the last 9-10 years, but some time ago, 2 years ago to be exact, he suffered a dreadful knee injury. But Claude, from today's action, it appears as though, and last year, some 18 sacks individually, and today's performance, it appears as though you've erased totally that knee from your mind.
Well, I don't think about it. I mean, it was an injury. You get injuries during the course of the game, and you get all kind of injuries. It was a knee injury, and it was an injury, and I was fortunate enough to have some good people working with me, Jerry Ray, our trainer, and Freddie Swacker, who's now with the San Francisco 49ers. Those people worked with me real good and diligently, and I kicked at him, and it's gone now. I don't even think about it.
Well, let's take you back a week in time, not overlooking today's ball game, but you lost a very crucial game to the New Orleans Saints last week. Exactly what happened down there?
Well, we jumped out to a quick 20-7 lead, and I felt like the defensively we just went to sleep. I felt loyal there in the fourth quarter, and we just couldn't get anything going. We couldn't stop the bread wagon with biscuit wheels out there. It was bad, and that was the problem that I was hoping that we wouldn't get into with this ball club. We had to play our kind of defense out there.
You are quoted as saying you didn't think after you got out in front by 20 points, I think the score was 20-7 at one time, and the way your defensive unit has been playing, you thought that they wouldn't catch up.
Well, nobody has drove 90 yards on us for a touchdown. They're a fine football team, and I got to give Manning and Munson a lot of credit. They did an outstanding job on us, and look like maybe on that Sunday nobody probably could have beat them. They were hot, and we got a good defensive football team. Not taking anything away from us, but they were hot, and you can't beat them when they're hot. I'd rather be hot than good anytime.
Claude, what were the feelings coming into today's game against a winless Tampa Bay club?
Well, looking at Tampa Bay, you figure they're going to have to beat somebody. Law average says somebody's going to come in here and not going to play right, and they're going to jump on them. And I was scared that it might be us after having that slump the latter part of the New Orleans game, and I think everybody else was afraid of that. That's the reason we played so well today.
Your week of practice, was it more intense, or did you go along just about the same way in preparation for the Buccaneers?
Well, our week of preparation was about the same. We didn't do anything, out of the ordinary to prepare for this football team. We knew that we were going to have to come down here and play our usual defense and just get at them.
Are you looking at L.A. at all? Next week you take on a New England club that's been somewhat sporadic, but they have the capabilities of scoring a lot of points. Yet your club has not permitted more than 21 points to anybody for the 1977 season.
Yeah, we're looking forward to New England. New England kind of got to us during preseason, and I felt like we had a much better football team than they did, and the turf was slippery and bad. I'm not making excuses for a loss. They got to us during preseason, and we feel like we're a much better football team. So it's going to be a much tougher football game this time against New England than it was during the preseason.
Let's speculate just a little bit now. You've got a chance to meet Los Angeles head-to-head. They were winning the last time I saw the score 6-0 over Cleveland, not knowing how it stands out. But you'll get a chance to either set L.A. back a ball game if you can continue winning. What are your thoughts there? Not to want to take you that far ahead.
I don't like to really jump that far ahead, but L.A.'s got a good football team, but we beat L.A. Earlier in the year, and they're going to be shooting at us. We've never beaten L.A. out there, but we don't have any of the players that never beat L.A. out there, with the exception of myself. So it's going to be a whole different thing, and I feel like that we stand an excellent chance of really getting into L.A. and getting into them good.
What's it like playing with a young group of guys? The average age of your defensive line is somewhere around 22, 23 years of age, and you, at age 30, I'm sure it's considered to be an old man by many of the younger 22, 23-year-old guys.
Hey, they call me Pop. 30-some years old isn't that old, but they call me Pops. I've been working with some of the young guys. I enjoy working with them. Those guys that we have on our football team are going to be the superstars of tomorrow, and I'm just happy that I can be around and help them and work with them and see the growth in the young guys. It's really beautiful. I guess it was that way when I came up, but it's different when you're on the other side looking down on them. Those guys are going to be super football players one day. I like to say hey to my mother in Memphis if she's listening.
Getting back to rehabilitating the knee, which has been probably the most feared injury in pro football and even collegiate and high school sports, what are some of the ingredients that one needs to get back the strong knee again?
Well, you're going to have a good trainer like Jerry Ray and Freddie Swacker, and you're going to have a coach like Marion Campbell who just stuck in there with me and stayed with me and believed in me the whole way. I was having a hard time. As a matter of fact, in this game, this was the first game that I played coming back off of the knee injury, and Marion Campbell stood in there with me, and I was having a rough day out here on this field. So, you got to have the confidence of the coaches and the people who work with you, and you got to have confidence in yourself that you can get back. And I think it all stems around confidence. If you got confidence, anything can happen. The world is yours as long as you believe you can.
You had 18 sacks last season. I'm sure you're a little bit below that today, but there are a number of reasons, I'm sure that you know and I know that there are a number of reasons why, say, a Claude Humphrey doesn't get 2 or 3 sacks per ball game. Dwell a little bit on that.
Well, for one reason, I play mainly over the tight end. Most teams figured out that if they put the tight end to my side, I'm going to go out there over him, and that means that I'm not going to be as effective pass rusher because I'm not going to get any kind of pass key.
Thank you very much. We've run out a little bit of time. That's the way it happens here on the field. Now back up to Bob Costas.
All right, thank you, Em, and we're just moments away from joining Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire in Washington for the Cowboy-Redskin game. That's coming up shortly. We'll be back after this.
We put a little blue jean in everything we make.
First 100 years, all we grew here was Levi's blue jeans. Helped the West grow strong. But now we've added a whole new crop. New fabrics, new colors, new styles. Of course, the roots still go right down to these blue jeans. So folks know they're getting Levi's quality. Because here at Levi's, we put a little blue jean in everything we make.
Now Black & Decker has come along with a handyman's helper that's mighty strong. It's small and light, but it pulls its weight. It's the super incredible workmate. Yeah, it's more than a bench and more than a vise. It's got both things working, and that's kind of nice. You can pound on it, a saw on it, a plane a door on it, and a whole lot more. Yeah, when you're alone and there's work to do, the workmate will help you see it through.
And now that game in Cleveland is a final. The Rams remain 2 games in front of Atlanta in the NFC West. They beat the Browns by a score of 9-0. Let's take a quick look at some other scores. Cincinnati still rolling in the fourth, 30-6 over the Giants. New England hanging on to that 14-0 lead, which they have held since the second quarter against Philadelphia, now in the final period. Pittsburgh and the Jets also in the fourth quarter, 23-13 in favor of the Steelers, who are battling now for that top spot in the AFC Central. Minnesota without Fran Tarkenton with some offensive problems, but leading the Packers 13-6 in the third quarter. And at halftime, Houston out in front of Kansas City by a score of 14-6. Here today at Tampa Stadium, we had a beautiful day for football. The Buccaneers, however, couldn't get much done for their home fans. They lost to Atlanta 17-0, the 5th time they've been shut out this year. And Bill Barnes produced our broadcast today. Duke Struck directed it very capably. The associate producer, Rupert Kopanex. Walter Pyle was in charge of the engineering. And the names of these other people important, too, as they contributed to our telecast here today. 17-0 the final score. Atlanta is 6-5. The Buccaneers have lost 25 in a row. They're 0-11. The doubleheader game is coming up next. We'll go to Washington shortly for the Cowboys and Redskins. For Emerson Boozer, I'm Bob Costas. Stay tuned as the NFL Today continues after this word from your local station.
A monster that thrilled the nation is back, and he holds the fate of a beautiful girl in his hands. Don't miss the return of the Incredible Hulk tomorrow night on CBS.